Josh Dugas, aka JD, aka Jermaine Too Clean, fantasy football's R&B legend, the dream because I'm a reg season killer, the Ricky Bobby of fantasy draft weekend because if you ain't first, you're last. With a squad like the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park because my team simply finds a way. Back at it again with this week's predictions video. Predictions video for Zord is sponsored by Miller High Life. Miller High Life, the champagne of beer. So without further ado, let's get to those predictions.
In our first matchup of the weekend, we have our Bay Area baby, San Francisco Jesus himself, versus the Jersey transplant turned Seattleite. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, this is a battle to see who reps their hipster city the hardest. Unfortunately for DOC, his weekend's going to be shittier than the winter weather in Seattle, as Tropical Storm Cutler is coming to town to bring his fury, also known as the Chiefs' core offensive unit. With two of O'Connor's studs injured, the team he is rolling out looks more like Haskell the morning of a draft than Haskell on a mountain range. OC will have to hope Jamal Williams will continue his vulturing ways, taking away TDs from the poor injured children on Belby's squad, and that Jonathan Taylor can learn how to play football again before he becomes a bigger bust than Dolly Parton's chest. On the other end, Bartimus will welcome the tight end one back into his lineup, looking to eat after taking a week off on bye. Should be interesting to see a fully unleashed Mustard now that Edmonds has moved on to higher pastures, but Cutler will expect continued production from D-Hop and a bounce-back week from the half PPR RB6, James Jakovic. All in all, this has the makings of a blowout, Bart by a million. Next matchup pits two orange men against each other, as the upstate hillbilly, the large orangutan, the person voted most likely to get kicked out of the bar for talking all that talk, Brendo Jablon, goes up against Kid Jersey, Ronald McDonald Jr., the instigating champion of the world, Bulbasaurus Rex, JD. Ryan Belby, friend of the show, was rolling out a lot of youngins this week, hoping that they will be too young to know they're underdogs. Ryan will also hope his new talisman, Justin Fields, will be able to lead the charge against a strong on-paper team that is trending downwards. Another strong week for Donta, baby Yeti Foreman, could also be in the cards. Add in a touchdown or two for Swift and a couple bombs to Boomer Bust Rondell, Chuck Olives, and MVS, and this team could surprise his opponent. Ryan has officially stated his team is in the hunt, but he will have to prove it this week. On the other side of the sheet, the former Prince has finally earned enough trust to get a start next to Alvin! But with uncertainty on Monday night's matchup, and a leader in Joe Cool that looks like he would prefer to lie with men in the backfield instead of throwing the football now that his friend Jamar is injured, this has all the makings of an upset. I'm taking the team with heart over cold logic as Belby beats Brendo in a nail-biter. Next, we have two teams on opposite sides of the table, but each sporting a losing streak longer than me in the playoffs. Sosa, the former top banana, has now rattled off 3 L's in a row after a hot start, while Sean Fredo Corleone Dempsey has announced he's officially in survival mode after starting the year 2-6. Dempsey will hope vacated targets from Hines can go to Pity City, as he has decided that rolling with the Panthers offense for streamers was his best path for success. But Ramondre Stevenson, taking over in Foxborough, and injuries to every other RB in Seattle, Mr. Boston, by way of Connecticut, will hope big games from the squad, including the best defense picked up in the draft, then dropped, then picked up again, has enough to right the ship for the second highest score in the league. Going against this mush in human form is EG's Chief Keef. Starting backup running backs seems like an easy path to an L, but what else can you do when your entire bench is not playing football this weekend? Nick has got to hope Jay Herbo remembers that he has had a lot of potential before he got cracked by Mike Dana, and a chaseless Bengals will throw the ball to the other young stud in their wide receiver room. Could see this team scoring 40 points this week, but screw it. Let's ride. As much as I want it to continue, Sean should get the W, and just enough confidence to become insufferable again for years to come. Next matchup is the classic battle of the most threatening team in danger of relegation and an Asian Spaniard. Wheels' team consists of the oldest football player in the league, an underperforming bell cow, another RB losing his role, and not one but two Washington Commander wide receivers. But the God in Tampa Bay is finding his footing finally, and Devontae is still a top 10 wide receiver, even with the broken car throwing him the ball. Now, one to take a shaky start sitting down, Patrick has been busy trading CMC for a Yeti and an RB2 trending up to RB1 range. Mix in 2 Vikings and a cheat code QB and his team is getting scary. But the biggest knock I see is thinking the highest scoring offense in football isn't going to put up numbers against this DST. I think John has occasionally gotten lucky this year, but even with negative numbers coming from his D, Patty H gets the W. The king of the Gopis versus the king of the South American Guidos. The Hindu hitman versus the Colombian killer Scar versus young Simba. I had this marked on my calendar since I picked my predictions week, mainly because I wanted to make a joke about Oscar's opponent being Simba and smacking around Scar, but I didn't really get the time to kind of perfect it. Anyways, June's value bidding has led to the best record in the league, but the best running back this season is on his bench, and he's starting 2 Bears running backs? Gross. Patrick Mahomes is incredible, though, and he still has a sun god on his team. Mixing DJ Moore off the greatest game he's had this season and a flex player in Josh Palmer, who may be the best wide receiver on the field for the Chargers, and his team still has some potential. Scar's side, on the other hand, will have to hope the prince that was promised can turn it around, or his Dolphins will continue to have to excel in order to overcome the deficit at QB. But like Josh Palmer on Arjun's team, Eckler has been taking advantage of injuries, and he still has last year's Triple Crown winner on his team. So much for my sick Lion King joke. I gotta pick Scar over my fall 11 brethren. And finally, for the obvious moment we've been waiting for, the matchup ESPN views as tighter than 2 June bugs on a summer night. Big Daddy, with another on the way, is rolling out an interesting squad for a 5-3 team. Jalen Hurts? Dog. Aaron Jones? Dog. Jacoby? Dog. Keenan? Dog. And after a tough bye week, Singletary is back where he belongs, first on the team sheet and first in our hearts. Plus, after losing my kicker, I finally got a squad filled with some Chiefs that I could root for in Arrowhead this Sunday. On the other end, Big Country is rolling with the hometown hero Geno, and a wide receiver in A.J. Brown who doesn't care who is throwing him the ball. He's scoring some tutties. If I'm being honest, I don't really like playing this team this week. Gabe is as likely to score 5 as he is to score 25, and DK is still a monster in football pads. But since it's only week 9, playoff Lenny hasn't arrived yet, and James Conner's still on the mend. Still, I think Thin Nate's endurance and stamina is going to outlast this dad bod's luck. I'm guessing he can score more than 100 points, and that, unfortunately, is my kryptonite. Nate gets the win, but it'll be a battle.